La 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 la.
Inner Wealth Podcast.
La 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 la.
Inner Wealth Podcast.
La 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 la.
Inner Wealth Podcast.
Get out the matrix and live.
You know what day it is? Inner Wealth Podcast. Meditate and give. So manifest the greater this. And things all good cause I say it is. Invest in your inner wealth. Real generational wealth is mental health. It's an inside game, no toxicity. Let's talk and more listening. Ladies and gentlemen, and now introducing David McCullar, founder of Inception, the first mental health gym.
La 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 la.
Inner Wealth Podcast.
La 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 la.
Inner Wealth Podcast.
La 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 la.
Inner Wealth Podcast.
Get out the matrix and live.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Inner Wealth Podcast. I got a special guest in the building. I got Leonard from Elevated Yogi in the building. What up, though?
Peace, peace, peace. Grateful to be present with you. It's one of my favorite subjects, inner wealth.
It's the main subject of your life, though.
It's the main subject of everybody's life.
Of everybody.
Really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that outer wealth was nothing if you don't have the inner wealth.
You think that facade is starting to drop with people too focused on the outward things and starting to turn inward? Do you see that starting to happen?
For sure. Definitely. But I don't know if I see it just because I'm focused inward and because I see all this the full reflection of me. But it's definitely a process. Everybody has to do it eventually because that's where everything is. Like the external world is a reflection of your internal world. So you're going to get tired trying to just change the external world and change the external world. Eventually, you're going to lose too much energy if you're not going within. So
Yeah. People are trying to change the inner world by using external means. I think it's a lot getting to the root of issues or the way to go. So where'd you grow up at, man?
I grew up in Detroit,
Where at?
downtown area, east side.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to Cass and I went to King.
Oh, you went to Cass. Would you graduate from King?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, so from the D, that's cool. So
sure.
you know when I came to your facility some years ago, it was pretty revolutionary for me to see that because this is a time too we're talking about where cannabis is not legal.
Right.
But you somehow were able to get a studio that doing yoga, but also infused it with cannabis. Like where did that start?
Well, it started off, I was doing the caregiver thing for a while and just growing my own little 12 plants, sharing with friends. And I was just creating a gathering to share my stuff with my friends. So I started off doing 420 friendly yoga. And it was then I ended up getting more into the yoga and less into the cannabis. But it still was a cool way to bring my friends into yoga. Because once I realized the benefits of yoga, I like, yo, tell my friends, yo, come do yoga, come practice. But they would never really come. It's like yoga, I don't need yoga. It's other stuff I could be doing. Like, I'm busy out here.
Right, right.
So, like, when you tell them it's 420 friendly and they could smoke, it's so much easier for me to get, like, my friends at the time to come and practice. So I started using that as a lure to bring people into yoga.
So what did you see when you did infuse the cannabis and you started working with people? What did you see with it in conjunction with yoga, and what did you see with yoga by itself and how they look?
Well, with yoga by itself, it might be a little. Some people aren't normally in a state of just being relaxed. So if you come to a yoga class, it might take a little bit longer for them to finally, they might not fully relax to the end of the class. But if we smoke before and just get them like nice and relaxed and they're more on a peaceful, relaxed vibration, then you just understand the concepts of yoga so much more. Because yoga's about where your attention goes, your energy goes.
Right.
It's simply that yoga's not about being physically flexible. The only reason you stretch in yoga is to take your attention away from the external world and to focus your attention towards the internal world. And when you're stretching and breathing, you're not thinking about work. You're not thinking about all this stuff that's going on, what's happening over here, what happened yesterday, what's happening tomorrow. It's so many mental conversations. Like, on a typical human mind, you constantly sending your thoughts towards the world outside of you.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason you stretch in yoga is to take your attention away from the world outside of you and to bring that attention within. And where your attention goes, your energy goes. So just by doing that, you feel more refreshed, more recharged, you have better thoughts, you have better ideas, your immune system works better, you just in a more peaceful state of mind.
Yeah.
And you're not so reactive to everything that happens. Like you could say, like, I'm gonna choose what I more proactive, really, not even just everything you see on TV. You feel like you got to react to it. I got to react to that. You more so realize your ideal mood and just more capable of dwelling in that ideal space.
Yeah, and I think that's very important because I did see a meme, I think a couple of days ago with 50 Cent where he was saying that you learn how to master success when you learn how to master attention.
Exactly.
And a lot of us, we don't realize that. Look at the words that we use, like this pay attention,
Exactly.
right?
Like,
we don't pay attention to pay attention. There's a cost to everything you put your attention on.
everything.
And so when the thing happened recently with Will and Chris Rock and people were messaging me and I was like, I don't even want to pay attention to it. And it's not because I'm better than or whatever. It's just I didn't want to pay my attention to it because I didn't feel like any value was going to come from it. Because the truth is, I do the work with people who are dealing with trauma. All that was more of another trauma response. And the world just is viewing this trauma response in real time on both ends.
Right.
One person goes into fight or flight, the other person goes into freeze, and then everybody wants to have this conversation about their reactive nature
Exactly.
and don't understand the reactive nature. Though.
Exactly, man. Where your attention goes, your energy goes. That keeps popping up over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Like instead of focusing on that, I could think about like where do I want to plan a yoga retreat to serve my friends and to just help the people around me. It's not really giving me too much. To focus my attention on that it just wastes my energy.
It is
It's
a waste
not
of
like
energy.
it's not in alignment with my vision or what I'm summoning to reality or what I'm sharing with others.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's good to talk about it just because it has people's attention, so you could just put some mindfulness with it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I don't know helps relate to a couple people. You could use it
Right. It's
in a
used
lot
as
of
a
inner wealth
tool.
ways as well, but
Right.
as a tool. So
How have you seen doing the cannabis and yoga and just all the practices that you do? How have you seen that raise your ability to manifest and create the things that you want in your life?
I mean, that's the main thing because where your attention goes, your energy goes. So our thoughts, I feel like, are like seeds.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever we have a thought, if we have a thought that feels good, then you want to water that thought with your attention. So before practicing yoga, like you will have a thought, you will think about something, then there's so many other thoughts going on that you don't realize just how often your mind goes from one place to another place to what I want to eat, what's happening tomorrow, what's this person doing over there. When your thoughts are going to all these different places, it's so much more difficult to manifest something than if you constantly sending your thoughts in one direction.
Right.
Because and yoga helps me send my thoughts in one direction and not just all over the place and getting sidetracked and thrown off. And the more I practice yoga, the more I'm able to focus on one thought and just bring it to reality so much faster.
Mm.
So it's very key in my process of manifestation because imagining creates reality. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's one of our
Say that
greatest.
again.
Imagining creates reality.
Yeah.
And our greatest gift, like the greatest gift of mankind is an imagination. Like money is nothing like if you don't got no imagination. Like a lot of people.
We created money out of imagination.
Yeah, everything that's in this room, these chairs, this table, this flute, it first started in imagination, then it was brought to reality by attention.
Mm-hmm.
Where your attention goes, your energy goes. So
Yeah.
imagination plus willpower is one of my greatest, when just bringing things to reality, that's one of the greatest tools.
Because people don't understand that with the imagination, yeah, you said imagination and willpower, you brought them two together
For
because
sure.
most people that they can imagine, but maybe don't have the drive to be consistent towards,
Exactly.
if you're growing food, you have to be consistent with the growing or you won't have a harvest. It's not, well,
Exactly.
just because I planted them, now everything is just going to work the way I want it to work. What are your thoughts on you've gone through the transition from seeing marijuana illegal, now you see it legal, and now you see like hydro spots on 8 Mile, right? What are your thoughts on the mass adoption of marijuana now?
On a mass, I mean, the more the merrier. It's all good. Everything that happened, I feel like, is an opportunity. So, more people interested in 420 yoga for sure. And just as far as cannabis, it's plant medicine. So I feel like plant medicine becoming more common in any form is always good because
Yeah.
it's less people that feel like you got less of the people speaking down about it, saying it's bad, it's that. More facts coming out about how like cannabis really could help you.
Yeah.
It could help you maybe put some of the medications down. And cannabis helps people relax and take some.
We got a bunch of black men in jail for giving people plants that help them relax.
Yeah,
Yeah, you really think about it.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, it's wild, and you got people just selling stuff way more harmful over the counter, and
you do have people who are in the industry as well. Because not every grower is a attuned grower or intuned grower.
it's all a practice for sure.
And my girl grows,
Okay,
and I had some of her marijuana, and I noticed, not just from me, because she was explaining how other people, their reactions to what she had grew.
right.
I said, that's because you grew them. Your energy is all in that plant.
This is true.
These plants take on the energy.
They're alive,
And-
definitely.
yeah, and some of the things that the plants do is just amazing to me. Like I didn't know that that most the plants are feminine. They're female.
Mm.
Yeah. And that male plants, they don't smoke well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They actually killed the male plant because the male plant can turn all the other plants male.
Yeah. Get a whole bunch of seeds and whatnot.
It's wild, bro.
For
about
sure.
about growing, and she comes and she tells me these things. I'm just amazed by it, and it just again, those plants, those are living entities. They feel emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Like they get stressed out. They can be overfed. All these things is just, that's humanity, right?
For sure.
We're overfed and undernourished at the same time. What do you think about that?
Well, we well nourished and we got the perfect amount of food.
Well, as who is we? But collectively.
Collectively, we got all we need.
Yeah, I know. The problem is we have all we need and we still need more.
It's just realizing that, because, I mean, humanity has everything that they need. Like, I look outside, I could see like a cardinal flying around. Like a cardinal got this little small brain, but it still manages to find shelter, feed his family, and live life and come out and sing. Like you got the squirrels, you got all of these animals that got so much less intelligence, and they still demonstrate that they have all that they need. And when we get to the human form, people get so smart that they don't realize they have all that they need. They think I need more. Like people always want more and more and more. And once I get this, I need something else. And even when they, like, you get this desire, then you become a servant to your desire. And once you get that desire, it's a whole new desire. And a new desire, once you get that, it's something new. And it's like a string of constantly chasing desire.
Yeah.
So that's another thing yoga's about, is being free from desire. Saying like, I don't got to keep chasing stuff.
Yeah.
I could sit still and I could attract it just by living in my truth.
Growing up, did you feel that? What you just talked about? Did you feel that slow downness and that peace? Or did you have to get to that place?
It's a practice for sure. Like growing up, just the way like people are raised, you like based off productivity, you think you need to be productive, you need to go out and do this, you need to go out and just do all this stuff, use all this energy. And you don't realize that just by sitting still, and I could sit still and just focus on the feeling of joy. And it will attract an idea that will save me from spending so much energy. Like just by realizing I can create a feeling with my imagination. And everybody listening can do it. Take a seat and put your imagination to the test. Like put it through extreme test. Like if you want to feel joy, sit down and focus on joy for 20 minutes and just really feel it and really experience it. And like use your imagination just to caress that feeling with the inside of your body instead of sending your mind outwards all the time. And that will attract the ideal. It will attract people. People think you got to go and look for stuff, but you don't got to go and look for nothing. You could attract it all to you just by feeling the way you want to feel.
Right.
And your awareness is just completely different when you going within and working with the inner wealth. You're aware of a whole different world. Like,
Yeah.
I might not even be living in the same world as somebody else because their awareness is somewhere different and we
Well,
see completely different things. And yoga enhances that awareness so you're able to see more opportunities. You're able to see like, this person not here to harm me. This person here to teach me something. And I don't have no enemies. All is divine. Everybody is my friend. So yoga helps really realize that. Because growing up, you might think, oh, I got enemies. This is my enemy next door. This is my enemy. Anything outside of you, you might think something is your enemy. But really, all is one. So everything's here to teach you something.
Yeah.
Like Super Mario got to love Bowser because that create the whole story. Before yoga, I used to think like the villains were bad. The villains were here to just take something away or they were against me. But when you just realize the villain is serving your story and helping you reach your highest self, like whatever you feel a problem is, that's an opportunity to live in your purpose.
It's an opportunity to flex your muscle.
It's opportunity to flex your muscle. Super Mario needs Bowser, like, or it's no video game.
Right.
So yoga helps, like, just, you get caught up in being the main character in your life. And once you realize that you also the author, and you don't have to just be the main character all the time, you could create the story, that's pretty much what the value of yoga has been in my life. I am the author.
Yeah. And during the pandemic, I got pretty slowed down because we were talking off air. I had to take 5 months off. And that's when I really got more into cannabis. Before I was taking RSO. I was taking Rick Simpson oil a lot.
Okay.
I wasn't really doing flower much. But during the pandemic, I had opportunity to slow down. And then when you're slowing down from your day to day, right? And then you do something like marijuana, like again, I was doing Rick Simpson oil and the flower, and I got so slowed down. I would just literally, I would be excited about just sitting there and staring at the wall.
Yes.
But I was never staring at the wall. I was internally like picking up so much information.
Yeah.
And I got to a place where I was like, I want to read books right now. Because I felt like, why do I need to read a book if I'm tapping in straight and I'm downloading, right? So I started
Exactly.
whiteboarding things. And I started whiteboarding things, and then I go back now and I'm doing a lot of my research on YouTube, listening to things, and I'm hearing people talk, and I'm like, I wrote that on my whiteboard, and I never read it from a book. Because where did I get it from? I got it from me inside.
Where'd they get it from?
We're all, no thought is original, right?
Yes.
Energy cannot be created, destroyed, only transformed or transferred. It's all the same stuff.
Yes.
We're all heroes and villains to somebody. Somebody is as peaceful as you are. Somebody can see you as a villain.
Exactly.
And there's
We
nothing
all
you
are
can
a
do
villain
about
in
it.
somebody's life, but I'm gonna be the best villain because I'm playing my role, living in my truth, and I'm gonna be the villain that you need. Like, and I'm cool with my role
Me
as a
too.
hero and my role as a villain. I don't have to please everybody and the way that they want me to please them. Like, I'm working in a divine type of way and just moving in my truth, and I got confidence in how I move. So.
See, you caught that saying, and I picked up the same thing. I said, I'm a hero and I'm a villain, and I'm okay with my villainous ways. Like, because
Exactly,
again, like
yeah.
you said, that spark and how that person perceives it, whatever. But that rejection from that, because that's really typically what it's about a lot of times, is if people feel rejected by you,
Yes.
and really that's what you needed to maybe go down further and heal something that you didn't look at.
Exactly.
And then when you do heal from that, you look back, because I go back and I look back at these people who I thought were villains, and I'm like, all this love and appreciation for that experience starts to
Yes.
surface, and I'm like, man, that wasn't really that big of a deal. First of all,
It elevates you to who you are right now. They give you motivation. They give you purpose. It's energy. Like, and sometimes you might be at your job and think that somebody at your job is your villain. You might think your boss is your villain. But at the same time, you got a dream of opening up your own business, and really, like, he being a villain to get you out of there into a whole new environment. Like, if you in an environment that's not for your soul, villains gonna pop up everywhere because they trying to show you to go to somewhere else. Like, they not your enemy. They telling you to go to this different environment. They telling you this job is not for you. They telling you to switch up something because we got the ability to choose our environment, our thoughts, the people around us. We got choice. So if you seeing all these villains, they just indicators to move a little bit different, to switch your environment or to make a change internally within yourself.
I'll give you that contrast.
Exactly,
what we're
give you
talking about.
that contrast. Like,
Because most people don't have they do have the contrast. They just not aware.
yeah,
That's what
yeah.
that is. It's like
Yeah.
that. You need that. Like, that's what got me on my journey. Was I was into the whole spiritual world, from Christianity, self-help, personal training. But it wasn't until I started having manifestations of emotional distress within my body that now I got a lot of contrast that I need to work on something, And that took me down that rabbit hole to start to work on that. But if that didn't happen, there would be no inception, and there would be no wisdom to the level that I know it. So one thing I read online today was that a lot of people, specifically generations coming up, because they look at IG and they think of everything comes very fast. And it's like, no, I think it was Sadhguru who was talking about it. He said,
Yeah, I like Sadhguru.
he was saying that, with anything that you want, you have to pay a price for it. And that's just the laws of the universe. It's a give and take. You have to complete a circle. You have to add value.
For sure.
And oftentimes I think we get stuck where we want what we want, but we don't want to move towards it. The moving towards it is the part that's the difficult part, right?
Exactly. I was just reading something the other day. It said, like, people really want freedom, but they in love with their chains. Like, you can't be in love with the chains if you want to be free. And the art people desires are they chains. Like, I really desire this and desire that, and that's what's keeping your imagination wherever it's going. Like, your imagination is just gonna serve your desire, whatever you desire. So just aligning your desires with your highest self has been a key in my process, my growth process.
Let's go back to this marijuana question.
Oh yeah, the marijuana question.
Because now this is the first time I'm really talking about it publicly on my show.
Yeah.
So, and what do you think about overconsumption?
You gotta build your relationship with cannabis and know, like, one of the main things you gotta know is how you wanna feel with everything. Like, what's your ideal feeling? What feeling are you searching for? Do you want to feel peace? Do you want to feel loved? What exactly do you want? And knowing what's ideal to you. And if smoking cannabis gets to a point where it's taking you out of being able to feel that way, then it's overconsumption. It's not like about how much cannabis you smoke, or because it's different for everybody. But you really got to know how you want to feel. And is this cannabis helping me feel that way, or is it not helping me feel that way? And that's how I see overconsumption or whatever. Is it taking you out of how you want to feel? Or are you using it to feel ideal?
Or are you using it to escape how you feel?
Or escape how you feel too, exactly, because cannabis is not something, you don't want to depend on cannabis. At this point, it don't matter if I smoke cannabis or not, but cannabis serves cannabis serves me. Cannabis brings people into the practice of yoga. Cannabis allows me to speak on a peaceful vibration of people, and they understand it more because they more relaxed. And try yoga for the first time, but you should be able to reach your highest self without anything. You don't need no cannabis, you don't need no mushrooms, you don't need this, you don't need that. Everything you need is within. So
These are all, like, I like how you said that. I said cannabis, and you said it very emphatically. Cannabis serves me.
yeah, it serves me.
Yes.
I don't serve cannabis. I don't like, oh, I need some cannabis so I could relax. It's not. I mean, if you starting off on your training wheels, it's cool just to start to understand some of these mindfulness things, but you don't need to be attached. It's about attachment versus non-attachment. If I have an attachment to cannabis, then that's when it becomes a overconsumption. If I become attached to it and I think I need it to feel this way or to do this or to do that, that's more of an overconsumption as well. And just non-attachment is a divine characteristic. So really realizing you have all you need within.
Yeah.
And if you're using it with non-attachment, then it's fine. But if you're using it with attachment to it, then I see that as overconsumption.
And you can do overconsumption with anything.
With anything,
I mean,
like
you can drown
anything.
off water, right?
Yeah, off water, whatever. Yeah, for sure.
You know, so these, and I'm asking specifically because I want to begin to educate people. Like, okay, if you understand marijuana, yes, it's becoming legal, but don't make that the new alcohol.
Yeah,
Because
for
those
sure.
are two different purposes if you understand the resource. So if you talk about cannabis as being, you know, it's a sacred medicine. It's a plant-based medicine. It's not it's not a party tool, but you use it however you want to use it. But it's like having a piano. Some people can play well, some people can't. But that's not the term. That if you playing well or not is not dependent upon the piano. It's dependent upon the user, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, you saw Michael Phelps was winning Olympics with, he's talking about, you know, he smoked marijuana and things of that nature. But this is the old idea that marijuana and you smoke marijuana, that you're just a loser and stuff like that, is like, that's just the old narrative that they want to push because somebody had a monetary idea behind it, you know?
For sure.
But now coming into this newer frequency and ideas that no, this is a tool, and just like you brought me today, psilocybin.
Yeah.
And so
Brazilians.
So talk about these for me for a second, and I'll share my experience too with psilocybin.
Very, very magical, very much alive, just like cannabis. And just like with cannabis, it's about using it intentionally. Like, even with cannabis, it's like, why do I want, why am I smoking? And just staying consistent with your why. And even with psilocybin, it becomes even more powerful with psilocybin because it's going to take you within. Whatever needs to be shown to you off mushrooms, it's going to pop up. Like, whatever your inner conversation and your mental diet is, these things come up off of mushrooms. And it takes you out of your typical day-to-day reality. And you get to be more of an observer and look at, like, you just couldn't observe yourself. And we get caught up in our main mental patterns and all these different habits. But when you take mushrooms, it takes you out of that. You seeing everything a little bit different. Like, the trees look a little bit different. Like, yo, I know this tree. And, like, you feel like the energy coming from nature, and it's a oneness with nature type of feeling. And I don't know. It gives you exactly what you need when you take the mushrooms. Even whatever it is you need, and it's different for every person. Mushrooms not a consistent effect on you because what you need might be different than what somebody else needs.
Yeah.
And they might not even be for everybody as well, but they very, very magical.
And they're the oldest living organisms on the planet. Did you know that?
Yeah, I mean, they're also like one of the most numerous organisms like within nature, just everywhere.
You've heard of the mycelium network?
It sounds very familiar.
So the mycelium, they grow underneath the ground and they connect to the trees and the plants.
Everything.
And it's like the internet underground.
And that's how it feels off the mushrooms too. It feels like you connected with the plants. Even the wind sounds different. And just animals, nature, everything is vibrating a little bit higher than normal. And you just understand like a whole different state of existence.
Right.
So some people just need to experience that to realize it's something else.
One of my clients some years ago, he did and he documented this whole thing. He took 5 grams and did I think he was in the float tank for 5 hours.
Oh wow. And the float tank, that's an interesting combination for sure.
Yeah, because you know, from that point when you get in the tank, you know, obviously these take you inward.
Yeah.
But when you're in a tank and you have reduced stimulus, including gravity, you really on a journey.
Yes.
He did 5 hours.
Man, and when you take 5 grams of mushrooms, I believe they have
That's a hero's dose.
DMT or whatever in them, and you get more of a DMT type of trip. And it's 5 grams and higher is like a whole new mushroom type of experience.
You familiar with Kalindi?
Tell me about it.
Kalindi is a gentleman from Detroit. He died during the pandemic, but he used to take 30 grams of mushrooms.
30
He's
grams.
world renowned, man. You had these white folks over in Europe bringing Kalindi in. This dude was on a whole nother level. 30 grams.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't need no 30 grams of mushrooms, but to each his own.
Me, I don't do trips. I just do micro.
Is there a reason for that?
Because I feel I've done one trip, which was cool, but I only need a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
that's just how my body is with things. I don't like if I took a quarter, not like a little piece of this, like the quarter of my pinky nail, I'll be good. Like if I did anything with marijuana, 2 hits.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Because I like to keep my contrast too.
What is this contrast you speak of?
So the contrast I'm speaking of is because some people you can lose their contrast in terms of you can smoke so much you don't know what it feels like not to smoke or not to be on it, or for it to not to be in your system. What would it look like if you didn't do it? You know, so at some point, I think it's good to have those pullback moments where you can feel again what's your natural state without anything. What is that like? You know, and then go back into it.
I understand.
It's like people who drink coffee every day. That's the number one psychostimulant on the planet.
Yes.
Drug. And a lot of people, I think Michael Pollan talked about it and this guy's been heavily into psychedelics for years. He talked about he did 30 days where he didn't do any coffee. And he said how hard it was. But then after he got through his 30 days, now he comes back and he started using it in a more resourceful way where maybe I only drink it on these days and only have so much of it. And then it's like this contrast of you being on it now is totally different because the body produces resilience, become resilient to it, you know? So that's what I mean by contrast.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when you were saying like that's the reason why you don't do like a larger dose as well.
Well, no, just because I had to have an intention before I go into that. And right now I don't have an intention of why I would be doing that or even the ayahuasca. now
that's it.
Now, when I was in my healing journey and I was still dealing with a lot of things, if I didn't get help through the other ways that I used, then I probably would have been like, well, I need to go do ayahuasca. You know, when you're running down to Peru or wherever you're doing ayahuasca at or whatever medicine, typically you're at a place like,
sure.
yo, I need to get out of this rut or whatever you're in.
Yes.
But people don't understand too when you do that, like these things, they open you up.
For sure. Yeah, it's a
And
whole new world.
you know, when you're ayahuasca, they putting buckets next to you. You're shitting and throwing up, like,
Man.
cause literally, what's all in there?
Yeah, what's going on? For
It's
sure.
junk.
Yeah.
The world's junk, the stuff you stomach, the emotions, the food you ate, all that shit gotta come up.
Mhm.
You ever read in the Bible say you can't pour new wine into old wineskins? Like we're so filled with the world's bullshit,
Yeah, for
you know,
sure.
ideology,
Even as far as the Bible and all
programming.
these different
Yeah.
meanings that they give, because
Mm-hmm.
my understanding of Christianity is far different now than it was when I was growing up. Because I kind of merge Christianity with spirituality now, because I get my own translations from the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not looking to like this preacher to tell me his translation of what he think it means. I could go within and get my own translation of what it means.
And I think that's awesome. That's
For
how
sure.
it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah, exactly. We could talk about it. We could share our own different meanings and see like which one feels the best. Just try it on like a
Yeah.
fitting room.
Yeah, and what may feel the best at that moment in time may feel different 5 days later.
Yeah, and then you just switch it up. Then I just let it mean whatever feels the best.
But remember, we've been programmed that changing your mind is a bad thing. We've been programmed by that. We've been programmed. Just look in politics. They always want somebody with a track record who thought like this for the whole 20 years. And my
Right.
thing is, if you thought like that for the last 20 years, why would I want to put you somewhere? Because that shows me you haven't grown at all.
Yeah.
I don't think the same way I did 20 years ago.
Yes, it's growth.
But they call it flip-flopping.
Mm-hmm.
So they call it flip-flopping, and then you hear that growing up, and you start thinking that, well, I gotta think the same way. And like you said, I don't think the same way about Christianity. I don't think the same way about any religion. I see it all as astrotheological. And I think that is all our expression of the same thing. Like we talked about, hero and villain, right? What does the hero and the
Hero and
villain
villain.
represent?
Yes.
God, devil,
Yep.
angel, demons. Why is it the same, duality that exists for everybody, right?
Yep.
So I see you got a flute over there.
Yes.
And I saw it on your Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought, oh man, I should have brought my flute.
You got a flute too? Oh wow. Yeah, the flute just, I guess it gets attracted to you at a certain point.
Well, so my dad, he went out to Arizona back in, I think it was like 96.
Mhm.
He met a guy named Saggio. And Saggio was a flute player. And my dad picked up a flute in 96.
Okay.
Yeah, Native American. Can I see it?
Yeah, for sure.
So he
Feel
picked up a
free.
flute, and he started playing his own flutes. He got about 10 of them. And me, I just, I'm goofy. I don't really.
Oh yeah, you've been practicing a little bit.
Yeah, this is a different one. This has got the 2 holes in it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's why you got the things up
Yeah,
here.
yeah. You gotta like
That's
line
what-
that up
line
with the
that up,
hose.
yeah.
Then it's, yep.
So these things, man, they're just they've been a part of my life since I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad, he's really good at playing them. But how'd you get into it?
Well, I don't know. They just always seem kind of attractive to me. And this particular flute, I was just searching 432 hertz one day.
Okay.
And then 432 hertz flute popped up. And I started checking into it. They had like a video that had the sound. I like how it sounded. And my partner, she really liked how it sounded too. It's from the video. So then I ordered it. It's 432 hertz, and it's also like a sacral chakra type of flute. So it
And
just feels good.
So these flutes are expensive too. And let me tell you this. This story is super trippy, bro.
Yeah.
So my dad got into flutes, right?
Okay.
And he would buy these flutes from this guy. And then I moved to Florida when I was like 21, and my friend's girlfriend, her dad, we were over her house one day, and the dad had all these flutes in his house. He was a flute maker.
Oh,
His name was Eric the Flute Maker.
that's
And
what's
my
up.
dad bought flutes from him. I ended up in this guy's house
Okay.
because my boy was dating his girl, his daughter.
Oh, not yeah. So you,
And so I called my dad. I said, "Man, you'll never guess where I'm at. I'm at this guy's house where you buy these flutes." He said, "What?" Because he'd be on his website all the time looking at his flutes. The flutes are expensive. I mean, a flute can cost you $1,000 or so.
so you got straight to the source.
Yeah, can you fix that for me? I
Yeah.
think that's that. But yeah, so that's an interesting thing. One thing, you know what? Being a black guy, man, and going down the healing journey,
All right, try it there.
you start to become introduced to things that you would never thought you would be open to.
Yeah, cause your consciousness different.
Yeah.
As you elevate your consciousness, the whole world changes. Cause consciousness is how you see the world. So all this inner wealth, you won't even see the same stuff as you would have saw like before doing the work, cause it's not within your consciousness. I switched from 1 to 2 to 1,
Okay.
and you could sort of use both of them really.
Okay. So I think he has one like that too. He has all different notes. He got about 5 or 6 different note flutes. Yeah. But it's again, as you start to really slow down and empty yourself out, you get to a place where man, like you said, the world just looks way different than what it used to.
Yeah, and it's the same world.
It's the
But
same
your
world.
awareness is just on completely different things. And even though I could be sitting right next to somebody who's never did any type of inner wealth type stuff, and what they aware of is completely different than what I'm aware of, and just it's very interesting. Like just how doing that self work changes everything. Even if you're sitting in the same place as somebody else, it's completely different outlooks.
Right. Yeah, and that's what people have to realize, that you see the world how you see yourself.
Yes.
That seems very trippy to think
is.
about that like that.
That whole shadow work journey is a whole experience.
So explain shadow work for the listeners.
Shadow work is all is one. Shadow work begins in the whole spiritual idea that all is one. So whenever you see something you don't like, or something that you hate, or something that you feel is going wrong, you got to realize, why is that making me feel that way? Because all is a reflection of you. If you dislike something, it's not that you need to change that thing you dislike. You need to change something within yourself. So realizing that everything is a reflection of you, and using that to make those adjustments within, because everything is a shadow. Everything you see outside of you is a shadow of something going in within you. So whatever gives you like an emotion that you don't like, or makes you feel a certain type of way, it's just that opportunity to look within and make an adjustment.
Because nothing really makes you feel any type of way to begin with. It's just a response that your body is taking in, right?
It's your reaction to it. Like, why are you reacting that way? So that's shadow work, and taking you to more of a proactive instead of a reactive state of existence.
Yeah. Yeah. When you can get to that place, I think that's where the power truly lies. Deepak Chopra talked about him being on a plane, and one of the stewardess asked him, the flight attendants, "Would you like a drink?" He said, "No, I'm already having my own." And I heard that years ago, and I didn't really I understood it from an intellectual standpoint, but I couldn't do it in my body. Now I'll literally go to bed, and right when I'm going to bed, I'll put my awareness on my body, and I'll start really just journal, like traveling through my body.
For sure.
And conjuring up certain feelings. When you think about the pharmacy of the body, and how we don't need a stimulus outside of us to be able to experience what we want to experience internally, because it's all coming in from the inside anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not a, becoming addicted to the stimulus porn, as I call it. You're
Right.
constantly seeking for something. Look how we do with social media. It's like before it was about, you know, the experience. Like if you have a meal,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh man, this meal was amazing. That was the experience, right?
Yeah,
Now the
exactly.
experience is, let me take a picture of the meal, post it, get the reaction from somebody else, and their reaction now gives me the experience.
Yeah, yeah,
So you created a middleman to your
exactly.
experience.
Yeah,
And I'm saying, how do we remove the middleman, to get back to the internal? And I think that's the mission that we're on. Would you agree, to help people to become aware of self and self actualization?
exactly. Because all is one. And whenever we elevating people, if we could give somebody something valuable, then you receive that same value that you put out. So one of the greatest subjects is inner wealth. So if you able to teach somebody about inner wealth and bring somebody to that realization, that's one of the most valuable things you could receive, bigger than like the biggest treasure chest. Like, and just sharing that with somebody else, so much like abundance flows into your life, and you just could share more and more. And your cup is always gonna be full if you sharing value with others. Like some people got this whole thought like, if I'm pouring into others, then my cup might get empty and all of this. But if you sharing something that's valuable, I actually see that's how I fill my cup up, by sharing value with others, not by just keeping everything to myself and just being all about me. But how can I share? What's the most valuable thing I know of right now? And how can I share this with others? And for right now, it's yoga for me, and mindfulness and inner wealth and the power of your inner voice. Because one thing that people overlook a lot of the time is their own inner voice. Because soon as you wake up, you having all these conversations with your inner voice. You thinking about this, you thinking about that. But just being able to think about what you want to create or what you want to feel, and just focus your inner voice in that space, that's your infinite creative power. Even in the Bible, I feel like the power of the word is your inner voice. And imagination is God in a lot of ancient religions. And you will see the Bible when it describes the Savior, is a lot of the time you could replace imagination with whatever name they're using as the Messiah or whatever. Like, all thing that was created was made by it. It exists within all mankind, like within everybody. It's actually crucified onto humanity. So I don't see God as crucified onto a stick somewhere. I see him as crucified as the imagination onto everyone. And that's that common thing within all beings.
Yeah.
So just really valuing your imagination, and if you doing what you love, because some people use their imagination in ways that they don't love. Like you might be using your imagination for work, a job that you don't like, for 8 hours a day, and then you get home, you so drained that you can't use your imagination for nothing that you love.
Well, the other part is, I think a lot of people don't know how to use an imagination.
For sure.
They feel like, you ever think these people, I'm creative. We're all creative.
Yes, for sure.
Some people think that they're not creative. That's you create your life.
Yeah.
That's the biggest creation you're ever going to create. So you are creative, but so we think about this Jimi Hendrix picture. Like he can play the guitar. He's so creative. I'm not. It's like, no, we're just creative in different ways. We pick up different frequencies, and the more you're able to remove the blockages, which are things like the traumas or poor eating habits or lack of sunlight, all the things that really get the vessel that we live in that's poisonous to it to a degree, that blocks you from picking up the frequency, if we want to look at it as a stream, from streaming that information down into us. So I think what you do with plant-based medicines and the yoga, just it gives people that space again to open back up to their true selves and get
Yes.
away from thinking because people think they're their thoughts. You're not your thoughts.
Nah, they just clouds passing by. You don't gotta. You could just let them pass by and pick out your favorite thoughts. Like you could sit there and watch your thoughts pass by and like just scrolling through them, like just and pick the one that you like. You don't gotta select a certain one that make you feel angry or and dwell on that thought, or the thought that makes you feel anxious and dwell on that conversation. Once you start going into your inner wealth, you realize that you could scroll through these thoughts just like people scroll through like pages on their iPhone and pick the way that you want to feel, and you could dwell on that type of thought. And sometimes even in the melanated community, we might be taught like not to deal with our imagination, to deal with reality. Because some people like, yo, deal with reality. You don't got time to be doing all that imagining. And I know a lot of people that's raised in that type of way. But like, where do this reality come from?
Right.
Everything we see as reality started off in imagination. Like airplanes, rocket ships, everything like has to start with imagination.
And if there's 8 billion people on the planet, or however many there are, then there are 8 billion realities.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, here's reality. No, that's your reality, how you see that reality. But
Exactly.
that doesn't have to be my reality. When you think about being African American, it's always been, or black, there's these ideas that we can't go into certain spaces because we have this enemy trying to stop us. And that conditioning could really hurt us.
Yeah.
You know, to the point where we would never try to go into a certain room because there are people who don't look like us in there.
Yeah.
That don't mean that I can't go.
Yeah.
You know, because I've been in a room with white people, all white, all men and women, and I'm the only one. That don't mean I don't belong.
Exactly.
That just means that this just is what it is. But if you allow those beliefs, I think the beliefs, those patterns of our thoughts that you talk about, they become ingrained into us. You know, not just in our mind, but our bodies. But that our mind is really a mimic too. It's a fractal. Goes into the internet. It's the same way when we look at social. When you said pick and choose what you want, a lot of us get stuck stuck in a scroll on IG or social media the same way we get stuck in the scroll of our thoughts. That's why I said fix your feed.
Yeah, moving purpose. You gotta align the IG with your purpose. I was just saying that yesterday. Set an intention before you pick up your phone. Don't just pick up your phone because you're bored with life. Like, before you pick up your phone, know exactly why you picking up your phone.
Right.
Because you either could get lost scrolling and waste your time, or you could use your phone with a purpose. You could share love with somebody with your phone. You could check on somebody with your phone. You could make a helpful video. Or you could just scroll on YouTube and look at crime news in the D and start get to scrolling on crime news in the D or something goofy, like where your attention goes, your energy goes. And as you believe shall be done to you, like even on that first point we were just talking about. So if you believe you can be in this space, then you can. If you believe you can't be in that space, you can't. And at the point where we are, there is no more oppressor. Like, the oppressor no longer exists externally. The oppressor is always internal. Like, you got people that actually think that they're being oppressed, and only you can oppress yourself. Like, you literally God. Everybody is literally God incarnated, individualized. So what can oppress you? Nothing.
And so to your point, let's say that there is an oppressor. Now what?
Yeah, now what? What you gonna do about it?
Now what?
Yeah.
So you have to get stronger to overcome that oppressor. Even if that oppressor is external, you have to get stronger internally first to overcome the external oppressor, right?
Yeah.
So it's never, like you said, I think a lot of people will miss that because they would think, well, no, but the system, this is a lot of people oppressing us. But it's like, but if you're not internally don't feel oppressed by that, and you're going to flex your muscle, then do you have an oppressor?
Exactly. And once you realize that, okay, I love this oppressor. How is this helping create my story? How does it helping me live in my purpose? Like, it gives you so many things to use your energy towards. Like, if you really do feel there's an oppressor, okay, how you gonna use your energy to go beyond that, or to help other people out and to align that with your purpose? Like it could give you purpose. Like, and once you allow it to give you purpose and help you live a meaningful life, the oppressor don't exist no more.
Because
It's like,
again, you got a space that was using cannabis before it was even legal, really.
yeah, for sure.
So how did you come up with that? You had to do something, right? You had to not look at what the oppressor is saying, right?
Yeah. I am protected. Like, if I say I am protected, then that's what it is. I fully believe that as you believe shall be done to you. It don't, like, if I'm using cannabis and I'm using it to lift people up, I don't gotta worry about what's gonna happen. I am protected. I'm like doing divine work, like. And once you really feel you protected, it gives you so much more power to take risks over here and to take chances for your vision. Once you know, like, you protected by a divine force, it's so many more options as to what you could do, because you don't got to worry about what's going to happen if I do this. If this don't go right, where I'm going to be, like, what these people going to say about me. You just have that faith in what you're doing, and once you have that faith and, like, your actions, it just opens everything up so much more, and it's so much of more of a healthy mindset.
Yeah, and that's everything that we're talking about right now is opening it up. You know, you ever seen Bruce Lipton's work, cell biologist, when he talks about the cell can only be in one state or the other, which is fear or love.
Okay.
You can't be in both.
Yeah, true. Facts.
Your growth or protection. You can't be in both at the same time. So in order to be able to move forward, you have to open yourself up. You have to have faith, and you have to understand that all things are working together for your good. This is a principle that we learn biblically, but truthfully, this is a inner wealth principle that grows all across the board. Till next time, guys.
Till next time.
You've been listening to the Inner Wealth Podcast on EYL.
Get out the matrix and live.
Theme song produced by Be Ready for West Coast Creations. I am Razcast, reminding you to take action, be proactive, be congruent, get out of the matrix, get your mind right. We've automated mental health at inception. Join the movement. Inner Wealth Podcast. Inner Wealth Podcast. Inner Wealth Podcast.
Get out the matrix and live.